Hi, I'm Matt, and in this episode, together, we're going to be taking a look at the OSD screen and checking out the return to launch features with iNav. So if you've never seen iNav working before and what the OSD screen, so the on-screen display, looks like, you're going to get very familiar with it very quickly. Now, one point for us to quick look out is in the top left hand side it says AH currently. That means basically heading hold. So that's what the model's doing right now. Now what I did notice on my test flights is that it's slowly working its way round to the left. Now reading through the wiki is it looks like I've got a slight board alignment issue on my setup, and that's purely down because all I've done is I've put some pins on the bottom of the board and then screwed it down to a piece of balsa wood and then velcroed it in and gone, that looks about right. So obviously it's off by a touch. So you would have seen as I've just been talking, it is slowly leaning around to the left. It's just a mild board alignment issue which I've got apparently. So anyway, keep an eye on that AH. That does define which modes we are flying in. And also I made a couple of mistakes, so I will share them with you shortly. And by the way, you can see I've just switched to acro down into horizon mode, which is a stabilized mode. And I do have the rates up a little bit high, again, a topic which we'll get to very shortly. Right, anyway, let's get ourselves used to the on-screen display. In the top left-hand corner, you can see 22, and that is the RSSI strength. Now, I have not... Oh, a quick one. I've just hit return to launch, so we should be going back home in just a moment. Now, anyway, 22. It stays on 22 because I've not connected the RSSI pin from the XAR receiver to the RSSI pin in on the flight control board itself. And also note, I've not set up RSSI as a separate channel. You could also do that as well with iNav. Now currently you'll see that we are in the mode RTL, which is return to launch. The model has come back home and due to the settings which I've got on my board, when it does come back home, it does dive for the ground and try and land itself. So you'll see that I've just flicked it back into acro mode to stop it doing that. There is a configuration setting. I will put that in the video description for you. So when your fixed wing model comes back home, instead of it trying to land, which is currently the default in version 1.7.0, I've been onto the issues over on GitHub. It looks like they're going to change that in version 1.8. So for fixed wing models, when the model comes back home again, it will loiter for fixed wing models rather than trying to land it, which is the norm with many other flight controllers. So you can see I've come back home again and it's trying to land in the tree of doom. Don't get put off by that. It's a straightforward setting which you just go to the CLI tab, type in set, then the command equals off, and then it will loiter instead. Now the basic summary is with iNav, every single time which I hit return to home or RTL, return to launch, it worked. Let's get back around the screen. So get ourselves back onto the topic. So RSSI, we've heard about the flight mode. So you'll see right now I'm in horizon mode. That's a stabilized mode. Do note it is rather windy up there, so we are getting chucked around a bit, and I do have the rates up a little bit high. Then we've got 38, 37, 35, and it's got lat next to it for some reason. That's actually ground speed. You can set up horizontal bars and a horizon if you so wish. I will quickly go through the things which you can have set up in your OSD. Then we've got the number of satellites, so you'll see that I'm running on 15 at the moment because of the GPS unit which I'm using. Again, that's the reason why I suggested it to you in a previous episode, because it uses GLONASS as well as normal satellites, so you always get a really good fix. The bit which is blurred out, that's ironically the GPS location. Want to keep that private for obvious reasons. At the top, I did make a bit of a mistake. And by the way, we're on a return to launch again. As I said, I was testing this extensively. We've got distance to home, that's obviously going down. Now that arrow in the top right hand corner is the mistake which I made, is the return to arrow is that if you put it too close to the distance from home, as you go out past 999 feet, is that it does move across a digit and then you lose your arrow. So when you set that up in your OSD, make sure you put the arrow above or below the distance to home, because as that number increases, you won't be able to see your way home. We also then have 0.0 V in the top right hand corner. That's the main battery voltage, which no surprises is 0 because Matt has not been connected the wire up to the flight control board with the main battery voltage. So there's no surprise why that's showing 0. The throttle, the 75, what it's on at the moment, that is actually the throttle value. So you'll see that going up and down as I'm applying more throttle and whatnot as the flight goes through. 22, 26 feet on the right hand side, that is the height off the ground that's being read off the GPS. And then below there, which is probably underneath my head, so I'll squish myself down, is the flight timer. Now let me quickly read out some of the things which you can also have on your OSD. You can also have crosshairs, or artificial horizon and sidebars, on-time, fly time, which we've had. What else have we got? In there, you can also show your PIDs, whether they be roll, pitch, or yaw. Power rating as well. If your flight control board's got a current sensor, it will give you an estimated power as well. Heading can also shows on there, the Vario and the Vario number. Now you can turn all of these different things on, and in the iNav software you can configure them wherever you want. So maybe you don't like the RSSI in the top left hand corner, and in fact you want it in the bottom left hand corner. In the iNav configurator, you just click on that and you drag it down to the bottom and you press save. And that's it, it works. And by the way, you'll notice the camera was just vibrating around. Again, it was trying to overreact, trying to land the model in a return to launch. Also, something which I noticed with return to launch with iNav is that I've set mine to 70 meters return. So you'll notice that we're in return to launch, but the launch site is behind us. So it's going to climb gently, and again, that is a configurable value. It's going to climb to a defined height and then turn at 230 feet, which is 70 meters, and it will turn around and come back home again. So I sincerely hope this episode's been in help to you, so you can have a look at what the on-screen device or the on-screen display looks like in iNav. Do note you can change the font size, you can have bigger fonts, that's the bold font which I'm using, or you can have a smaller default font if you wanted to. It's really straightforward. Oh, you may have noticed I just went into pass mode. That's pass-through mode. That's full stick movements. Anyway, iNav coming back a second time around. It flew absolutely fantastically well. Do have a few little minor issues which I need to tidy up, and I sincerely hope that you've been and found this, not the best of landings. I sincerely hope that you found this episode helpful, and that was the first look at iNav and its OSD. I will get a full-blown episode or set of tutorials out for you where we go through these different bits and bobs separately. And on that note, it's time for me to go. From myself, Matt, cheerios!